Diamonds, Dames, and Dads, Part 1. Hours ago, but not many. Midnight City, where the nights never end. Where the black edges of the sky fade into the seething darkness of the rippling ocean, and the void washes up on the shore like waves. Midnight City, where the only thing darker than its name are the hearts of the people living inside it. Midnight City, where it's always midnight. Actually, that's not true. It's other times too. It just sounds cool when you say it like that. Your name is Diamonds Droog. You are currently out of work. You've gone by other names in other lives, but we're not talking about those right now, capiche? What? You're gonna come in here and try and drag a man's past up out of the swirling miasma of the dead years he's left behind them? Get out of here. Your name is Diamonds Droog, and that's really all you gotta say on the matter. As was previously stated, you're currently out of work. You used to run with a crew, see? A notorious gang of cutthroats and assholes. Those were really the days. Nobody could hear your name without shivering in their spats. Well, after they asked you to clarify if you were talking about the city or the time of night. But after that, you bet your ass they quaked in those fashionable shoes. But all good things come to an end, don't they? You know that better than anyone. That's why you're here, in this sleazy drinking establishment, nursing a perfectly passable glass of booze, when you could be out there, running capers and seducing broads. With your boss gone, there's really nothing for this shitty little town to offer a guy like you. Nothing here ever changes. Broad shoulders paint themselves in silhouette across the moon. Lightning crashes and lights flicker. The music stops, but that's because old Ivory Joe finally passed out of the piano. The management should maybe rethink its open bar policy for performers. But seriously, who cares about that shit? You didn't come here to listen to piano music, you came here to drink, goddammit. The newcomer takes a seat next to you. This sets your hackles up because what the fuck? This place is basically empty, so many options to choose from, and he gets right up in your personal space. Hey buddy, you got a problem?
No problem,
he tells you. Just thought he'd come in out of the rain for a spell. This joint looked as good as any. The buttons on his jacket are highly polished, and his tie is perfectly knotted. His hat is set at a particularly jaunty angle. You approve despite yourself. Well, don't make a big deal out of it, you tell him. You pull out a cigarette and flip open your matchbook. Empty. Empty just like a glass. Totally spent like your cash. Dried up just like your prospects. Thanks, you tell him, because you're a gentleman, whether you're on top of the world or sleeping in the gutter.
No problem,
he says. Then he sits there, watching you smoke. You ask him what his angle is. He tells you he's here, looking for somebody. You say, yeah? Well, don't expect to find them here. Midnight City isn't the sort of place you go to if you ever want to get found. He pulls out a newspaper clipping, smooths out the wrinkles on the top of the bar. A dame with a daring neckline and a spunky smile looks up at you. Who's the broad, you ask. Gotta admit, you don't blame him for looking for her in the slightest. There's a lot there to look at.
Watch your mouth,
he says.
That's my daughter.
Okay, buddy, jeez, calm down. Maybe you shouldn't be carrying around sepia pictures of your daughter and showing them off to sad drunks if you don't want the conversation getting a little blue. But whatever, enough about that. What the fuck does he think you could do about it? The guy looks at you. He says that he thought he recognized you. He figured the two of you went way back, but now he's not so sure. He's starting to think that maybe he knew a different version of you from an alternate dimension. Oh yeah? You say? You wouldn't be surprised. That sort of shit happens all the time around here. So the you this guy knew in another dimension, what was he like? Were you friends? Partners in crime? He tells you that the other you once kept him locked in a room. Well, that certainly sounds like you. So what do you want, buddy? How do you get off coming in here and slapping down pictures of your hot daughter? What's going on here?
Just thought you might be interested in going into business.
He says.
Unless you're busy, of course.
He would never presume to intrude on a gentleman's time. An average bartender is polishing a glass behind the counter. That's what bartenders do, you guess. Just polish glasses. You wouldn't want an unpolished glass, would you? That would be an absolutely unacceptable. This guy looks at you the same way he always does. Like he knows exactly what kind of useless you've been recently. Coming in here every night, drinking the same acceptable whiskey. How could anybody be traipsing in here and asking for this asshole's help? Is what this guy is saying to you. You can read it on his ratty little face. What do you know, motherfucker? You're incredible at helping. At doing shit and getting shit done. In fact, you're just about to go help this fellow find his daughter. Fuck it. You got it, buddy? The average bartender shivers in fear at this raw display of masculinity. Forget about him. Think about this other guy. This gentleman who lit your cigarette when you needed it. This guy. You could really vibe with this guy. As in, kick back with a drink and discuss business and broads and share lingering, slightly sexually charged eye contact. Kids these days, what do they know about vibes? You tell the newcomer that you know a guy. His style's a little controversial, but he gets the job done. He asks if you've been looking for someone too, since you seem to know all the best finders in town. You ask what's it to him. He says just a feeling he's got. Okay, sir. Grab your picture of your daughter and let's get out of this dive. You ask him if he would be so kind as to pay the bill. He tells you that he doesn't have any money. He figured a high roller like you could pay his own bills. You tell him to watch his mouth. He tells you that maybe you better watch it for him. You ask him what the fuck that's supposed to mean, and he tells you to pay the man and meet him outside. He stands up and straightens his hat.
There's problems. Ah, fuck. Come in, jackasses, the door's open. The door's always been open, okay? The issues are a little more deep-seated and symbolic. You're always stuck in your office, but like, emotionally.
We got a job for you, sleuth. Get out of that Ford.